Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Distorted Reality. I am your host, Nick Tucker. Today is Monday, July the 22nd, 2013. And on today's broadcast, I am joined by a special guest. I am joined by Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. You can check out his show over on the Views Expressed Live on Spreaker, and we'll get into all of that with Wayne coming up. We got some pretty good topics that we're going to get into on this broadcast. A lot of breaking news coming out today on this Monday regarding the royal baby is now born. Zimmerman apparently playing Superman now. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the world today. But we're going to get into all that and a whole lot more on today's broadcast. I have a feeling today will be a very dynamic broadcast, if you will, with two guys here who know what we're talking about. And I was a guest on Wayne's show, I want to say it's probably about a month ago now, and we hit on some pretty good topics regarding the FEMA camps and the whole New World Order get-up. So we're going to get into all the breaking news that's going on today, as well as the economy, as Detroit looks like it's completely fallen on its ass. And, you know, it's sad to see Motown go down the way it's going, but that just goes to show you that the mega banks, the globalists, they don't care about you and I. They don't care about anything but themselves. They don't care about anything but lining their own pockets. And as I said before on my last broadcast, when I talked about the Rothschilds and the centralized banking system, and in order to really get real hope and change, you need to get rid of the banking systems in this country and countries all over the world in order to really get a real change. And we're seeing that now firsthand with Detroit, as they are billions and billions and billions of dollars in debt, having to file for bankruptcy. And it's ridiculous how our president, our dictator, and how the globalists in charge have allowed countries to just prosper and decay, at snaps of their fingers, and it's just ridiculous. So we're going to get into all that and a whole lot more with Wayne today. And just remember to check out the Facebook page, Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. And you can also follow me on Twitter at DistRealityNT. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring on my guest here today, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce from the Views Expressed Live. How you doing today, Wayne?
Doing good, Nick. Doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. And, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world today, and there's a lot to get into, and we can kind of pick and choose where we want to start from with so much going on. So, how about we start with the royal baby, Wayne? How about that?
That works. Yeah, that's William Kate had their baby. It's a boy, and and the world is rejoicing.
Now, have they even figured out a name for the baby? I'm so far lost in this. I don't even know if they have a name yet. Do you know?
No, the last I heard, there was no name as of yet. So we're waiting on that. I wouldn't put it past them to name the child Winston after Winston Churchill, but that might be a disrespect to Mr. Churchill.
Exactly. How about we go ahead and name him first name Winston, last name Rothschild?
That'll work.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. It's just so ridiculous. We got all this stuff going on in the world. We've got innocents being killed by our dictator-in-chief dropping his bombs from the drones. We've got the economies collapsing worldwide, and yet we're focused in on a stupid Zimmerman trial, just used for nothing more but race baiting in this country, and now we're going to be fixated on the royal baby being born. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And you were talking about the Rothschilds and the introduction and the banking system, and that goes back to another progressive called President Woodrow Wilson. But this current dictator that we have in office, yes, he is a dictator. Just look at what he's done. He says hope and change. Well, I say rope and chains for all the criminals out of Washington, D.C. Let's put them all in prison.
Absolutely. I completely 100% agree with that. It's false hope that, he spews through the propaganda machine known as mainstream media, through the television sets. Everybody buys into what he's saying. Everybody buys into what he's doing. I mean, come on, just look at the guy's track record here for a second, okay? He's failed miserably on everything that he's touched by design. That's, the globalists in charge. He's just playing the puppet head. But I mean, it's just so ridiculous how he's going to have children standing next to him as he's trying to sign off on a new gun legislation, or he's got bulletproof glass as he's talking. I mean, this guy is just like so far out there, but people are just eating it up. They're taking it in stride. They're laughing. They're having a good time. But they fail to look behind the scenes and see that everything that he's doing and the globalists are doing is decaying this country from the inside out.
Oh, yeah, 100% correct. I mean, exactly. And then you got people like, the normal sheeple, I would say, that are distracted by the Zimmerman and all that. They're also the types that are distracted by the Illuminati pimps called JayZ and Beyonce.
I posted a picture on my Facebook page, Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker, yesterday, and had a picture with Trayvon Martin's family with JayZ and Beyonce. And, I don't know if there's anything more to it, but Trayvon Martin's father is an actual Mason, Grand Master, if I'm not mistaken. And here he is posing with JayZ and Beyonce, the two prominent Illuminati figureheads in mainstream music. I mean, coincidence? I'm not sure. What's your take on that, Wayne?
It's not a coincidence. A lot of this press, if you look back, Edward Bernays, father of propaganda, I mean, said it perfectly. I mean, when you read his books, I haven't read them yet, but the information that has come to me, about Edward Bernays and his propaganda that he used to tell the government, this is what you have to do to get the people sucked into your meat grinder. Basically, those are my words. But it's propaganda. Nothing happens in Hollywood without somebody sitting down planning it out on an organizational chart. They're saying, well, if we put these two together, this will work. And then it's all about, divide and conquer. It's all about taking our guns. It's all about limiting our speech. It's all about journalists now are being arrested for saying something against, somebody else in government. And Facebook posters who sarcastically put up a joke are now being arrested by the federal government because, oh, you can't do that. Really? Somebody said, now, in one aspect, I can understand, how people are, hey, that's okay. I can understand their lack of intelligence in to the degree that they're not paying attention. I can totally understand that. And those are the people that the federal government are going after because they're the ones that are going to scream the loudest to take away all of our rights. So what they don't understand is, and because they're too stupid to realize it, that their rights are being taken away too.
Exactly. It's on full fronts here. They're waging this war against the people of this country on all sides, whether it's through the television, it's through the food that we eat, it's through the water that we drink, the air that we breathe. People who so-called whistleblowers that are coming out and bringing the truth to light are either being killed. Look at Michael Hastings as he was about to break that story on the CIA and his car explodes. And for anybody out there who still thinks that it was just an accident, look at the facts, folks. The engine was blown 60 yards away from the vehicle. The vehicle never struck the tree and blew up like the initial reports came out. It's ridiculous, And then you've got Edward Snowden who releases information about the NSA spying on everybody. Well, that's old news to folks like you and I. We already knew all this stuff was going on, but to others who get their so-called news from Fox News and CNN and what have you, look at it and say, oh my God, oh wow, they're actually really spying on us. I guess all the crazy conspiracy theorists out there were right the whole time.
Exactly. I've been looking at how government covers up all sorts of stuff since I was a junior in high school, and that goes back quite a ways, And I look at all this stuff, and I've asked questions. Okay, why is this way? What are they covering up? Why are they covering it up when we, the people, number one, pay for those positions in a way, indirectly, for the politicians to be there. Now it's just come out that we don't pay for it, our votes don't count, none of it really matters. But I've been looking at all of this, and it's not a coincidence at all. And people who say, well, Here's the real story. Look who's behind the curtain, pushing the buttons and pulling the handle. Here's who it is, and people are going, no, I don't want to see that. And that's the problem. They don't want to see the facts. They don't want to see the truth. They want to continue to look and listen at JayZ and Beyonce and do all that. And, oh, that's wrong. They're just, no. It's not a coincidence that those who were called, quote-unquote, conspiracy theorists are now proven to be correct.
Exactly. And, you touched on it really well there, talking about how people refuse to look at the facts. They just want to have their own conclusions without looking into history and everything that's brought us up to this point. And I guess that goes back to say, the best place to hide something is in plain sight. I mean, I did a video, it's up on my YouTube channel, Distorted Reality NT on YouTube, where I went to a big-time mall here in Las Vegas, an outdoor mall, and I had on film a unfinished pyramid with the all-seeing eye above it, the same one you see in the back of your dollar bill, looking and staring at you 360 degrees, out there in plain sight. Not to mention that the Treasury Department is right across the street, and that's designed in the shape of a pyramid. And then you got the big-ass World Market Center right next to everything, and it's just like the best place to hide something is in plain sight. Draw in your energy, feed off of your energy, as they say that they do, the enlightened ones, so to speak. But, it's just ridiculous how you can put a pretty good size, unfinished pyramid structure in the middle of an outdoor, popular Las Vegas mall, and yet nobody questions it. Nobody even looks at it and says, oh, wow, what is that? Nobody recognizes that the eye on top of the unfinished pyramid is actually on the back of your dollar bill, and they are watching you, folks. But people don't understand that. I don't get it sometimes, Wayne, how people are just so ignorant to the facts.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when you look into that all-seeing eye on the back of your dollar bill, it represents, and the pyramid is no mistake either, it represents the Eye of Horus, which was said to be the all-seeing eye over Egypt for safety and for, all that. And everybody's saying, no, it's not that. And yeah, you don't want to look at the facts, and then that's just plain and simple. Well, I've been to Las Vegas. I love that town. And when you look at the Luxor, when you're standing at the Luxor, you're looking at that pyramid going, I don't know if people see this, but that right there is an Illuminati symbol.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a, big-ass pyramid, in the middle of a desert that sticks out like a sore thumb like they do in Egypt. Now, folks, you got to understand here, we're not criticizing pyramids, okay? We're not criticizing any of this. As a matter of fact, I would love one day, if they don't get demolished or torn down, to visit the pyramids in Egypt. Stuff like that fascinates me, and that's what I really want to do, is go to locations and film and broadcast and take everything in and show everything for what it's really worth. But you've got to understand, folks, as Wayne and I are talking about here, I guess we kind of went off in the Illuminati route here, but they are everywhere. They are watching you everywhere. I've had, some pretty interesting conversations with some folks, over the last few months, especially since I started up this broadcast. They really come out of the woodwork. But, you really have to sit and question, are we really being watched all the time, every day, by these individuals that just blend in like common folk? And yes, we are, folks. The Illuminati is everywhere. It's in mainstream television. It's in mainstream music. I mean, it is everywhere. Just look at, all you have to do is Google search Beyonce Illuminati, JayZ Illuminati, and you'll see what we're talking about, how they are, first of all, they're fed this music, okay? Half of them don't even write their own stuff. They don't play their own instruments, nothing. They're just paid, here, we'll give you $1 million, go and shoot this music video. Okay, well, in this music video, you've got all the Illuminati symbology in that music video, and half the time, these artists, so to speak, if you really want to call them that, don't even know what in the hell is even in their own video. All they're worried about is just, getting high or getting that big payday, performing it at the Super Bowl. They're not looking at the bigger picture, and I think that that really needs to be exposed and brought to light.
Yeah, it does, and I mean, I'm old enough to go back to remember when Dee Snider from Twisted Sister was up at the hearing with Tipper Gore with PMRC and sitting there going, this is what, and he's saying what he said to her, and it was like, that whole thing was a giant farce in itself. It's just, when you look at the music, when you look at everything, just in general, look at the whole picture. If you see something that on the main, I'm going to call it the state-run media, because that's what it is now, if you look at something there, guaranteed there's going to be something they're hiding. Guaranteed. You got to look behind the curtain. You got to look at what's going on. I mean, people such as Michael Savage or Glenn Beck or Alex Jones or Josh Tolley or any number of those people talking about this stuff. What's going on behind the scenes? Here it is, right in your face. But those people, including probably you and I, have been called, they're crazy conspiracy kooks or whatever. And we're the ones that are right. We're the ones opening the door, revealing what is happening in Crazy Town in Washington, D.C. And the general sheeple are just walking around like, where's our next, fix? Where's our next, sports program or whatever? And I have to get away from this stuff every once in a while, or else I'd go bananas.
Exactly. I can't tell you how many times I've been called, the tinfoil hat wearing crazy conspiracy theorist, don't know what you're talking about, you're too far out there, you're stretching the imagination, I consider myself, if anything, to be a conspiracy realist, because everything that I am reporting, that you report, Wayne, and the others do out there, is the truth. It's just the matter of fact that we have the balls, so to speak, to think outside of the box, to see what's really wrong, to see why we're being poisoned in our food, air, and water, and, to really just examine the facts for what they really are. Break away from that coma state you are when you're watching, mainstream news, and break away from that and examine these facts and examine what it is that we're telling you, because it's up to people like us that are going to bring this information out while we still can, while the internet is still there, before they institute Internet 2 and internet censorship and all that. It's up to us right now. Right now we're at the forefront of that big war, so to speak, and that war is war for information, and it's people like us that bring you this information. And as I've said before, if you've got 2 hours, ladies and gentlemen, to watch your favorite TV program, you have 2 hours to study what I'm telling you, what Wayne's telling you, and what others are telling you, and you'll see beyond that veil of propaganda that they put in front of your face that there is a whole nother world. And I'm going to tell you right now, folks, it is a shock. It is a shock when you finally understand and realize that you have been going your whole life living a bold-faced lie. And I know it was to me, and I'm sure it was to you as well, Wayne. When you start to put the pieces together and you start to see the bigger puzzle, it's all a grand lie that we've been told from day one. Exactly.
And that reminded me, you were talking earlier about how what the mainstream media does and the lies that they spew out of there. Even the local news. Your local news can't even be trusted anymore. Yeah, they got humanitarian things, loyalty, and all this other stuff. But I remember seeing, and you can go to YouTube and see this, Walter Cronkite and some other reporter on the day that John F. Kennedy was murdered, by our own government, by the way, and you see him talking, and all of a sudden the other reporter comes in for another segment that was there, and that particular reporter says that Lee Harvey Oswald the cops got him in a break room upstairs, and they, now get this, found the gun in a stairwell, and when you put the timeline together, there's absolutely positively no way that he could have done that. And, of course, if you've seen Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory, where the son of E. Howard Hunt just said, here's what my dad said, and it literally says, E. Howard Hunt says, we had an event that was supposed to be in Chicago, and later documents came out, through alternative media as well in their research, finding that, yes, it was going to be in Chicago, but they moved it to Dallas. They moved it to Dealey Plaza. So all of it connects the dots, and they used Lee Harvey Oswald as a patsy and Jack Ruby as a patsy and all this. They just, because they wanted to cover their you-know-what.
Exactly, and it's the same thing that we're seeing with the Boston bombing. We saw the two patsies, the Zarnev brothers, being used as the bombers, so to speak, and yet they were, just plants like the rest of them were. And anybody who can take a picture or take a look at the pictures that alternative media put out, and it shows you that there are different people congregated around the same area, dressed the same way, looking the same way, trying to figure out what the others are doing. It was all a big drill, and they had, announced, DHS did finally, that yes, there was indeed a drill being ran day of, and yes, we did have prior drills months before regarding the same situation. Come on, guys, it's the same thing with 9/11. They use a big catastrophe, so to speak, a big false flag to get the nation to rally behind something to take more of your freedoms and more of your liberties away. And it just goes to show you that how big of a lie we actually do live in, because they tell you, hey, guess what? Because these planes flew into these buildings and, Trade Center 7 just fell on its own for no apparent reason, and hey, there's no way that plane could have fit in the Pentagon, and hey, guess what? That plane that went down in the field in Pennsylvania, there's no records, but never mind all that, folks. Never mind all that. What we're going to do is we're going to bring in the Patriot Act. That's right. We're going to bring in the Patriot Act, and in doing so, we're going to strip away your rights and liberties. So every time you got to go on a plane, you're going to have to go through a big microwave oven and get radiated and get cancer cells. It's just fascinating. It's mind-blowing of how big the spectrum really runs, Wayne. And my question is to you. I've talked about it on my latest broadcast that we need to kick out the centralized banking system, and in this country, that means the Federal Reserve. Now, in your opinion, what needs to happen in order for us to regain humanity, to bring us back to being free individuals, not only in this country but worldwide? What do we need to do?
Well, numbers. There's strength in numbers. That phrase, is batted around in some arenas, and it's true. Strength in numbers. I mean, we use that a vast, I would even say somewhat of about 50% of the American public, specifically in America, geared to, the shiny thing in the corner instead of the real issues that are out in the general public. Then they're just going to sit there with their thumbs in their mouths, rocking back and forth. But the other half of the country, or hopefully it's more than half of the country, can stand up and just say, enough's enough, just enough. Our founding fathers, the people that literally put in motion the things that we needed to build the United States of America, literally, was they went out at night dressed as Indians, went out and threw the tea over the thing, and it's all this kind of crap. You can really look at it. It's there. Basically, the point is that people got up, were pissed off enough, and said, we've got to do something about this. And they did in that era. They did in all, just throughout American history. People got ticked off enough, and they said, you know what? I've had it. Here's what we're doing. And they gathered these people together. They got all the things together that they needed, and they finally stood up and just said, enough. And that's what we have to do. And there's, 315 million people in this country, and probably about maybe 50 million are illegal aliens and documented workers and all this. And the other, maybe half of the rest are sitting around going, hey, what's on TV, We
Exactly.
need to get up and stand up and take a stand for freedom and liberty and for the Constitution, for what it truly is and what it meant, in the creation and foundation of this country.
And that's exactly right. You got to look back at history, and you got to look back and see, why we are where we are. And if anybody out there still has any questions or has any doubts and says, oh, that's just, BS, Obama does love me, who cares if he's a dictator, he does love me. Well, if he loved you, then why is it that Obamacare is going to be implemented? Well, it's to give health care to people who can't afford it. No, it's to raise the premiums, it's to collect your DNA, it's to do all of this, folks. And if you look behind the scenes, behind the veil of the propaganda that they're bringing to you, you'll see where everything lies. And Wayne, I know that you've talked about this before on your broadcasts, as I do follow along with your show, and you always say, if you want the truth, follow the money. Follow the money. And I think that's really true to the aspect of, if people still have any questions as to what is really going on, as you say, follow the money. As I've said, kick out the Federal Reserve, kick out the centralized banking systems in every country, bring back freedom to the people, the land to the people, you'll start to see humanity once again, prosper and be joyous again. Whereas right now we're under the oppression of a global dictatorship under the New World Order regime. And, you got to follow the money, as you say, Wayne, to see where all these big corporations, who they're funding, who they're working with. You follow that paper trail, and you'll see where the end game really lies.
Exactly, and it comes down to not only follow the money as well, because that's important, because you connect the dots in that to find out who controls what purse and who's spending more and putting out more and supporting what. I mean, that's all. I mean, even from your local politicians, you want to hold them accountable as well. And what organizations are they supporting? But on a worldwide thing, it means that people are going to have to. And I have to say this, not that there's people out there like this, but or opposite of this, but people have to take personal responsibility for themselves. And if they're in a family and have kids and all this, that family, their family is important. I don't care if you're Iraqi or in China or in Japan or in Europe or whatever, you have to take care of your family. And if you want to support a system that is against the families, it looks like that Obama is, because the rates are going to go up. Everything is, kids are being arrested. Kids are being arrested for having pastry looking like a gun. I mean, it's just amazing how many people cannot connect the dots in the right way for the whole picture to be seen. And that, unfortunately, is one of the things that frustrates me more is, they get so far and then they get distracted by something else, or then they're pushed in another direction, or, they don't get the whole picture is what I'm saying. They just don't get it. And following the money, connecting the dots, that's what you have to do. If you have questions, if anybody out there has questions, and it's better to ask and to know than not to ask and be stupid about it. That's just the bottom line. Why do you want to be ignorant? I don't get it. And even if you did ask and get the answer you didn't like, it doesn't mean anything. It just means now you got an answer. There's things I don't agree with, and I tell people about them, and I show them why I don't agree with them, and they go, oh, okay, well, and then they're fine. I buy them a Pepsi and we go on. Our day's fine. But the ones that just hardcore, and you've probably been met with this as well, hardcore people that are far left liberal loons that want Obama, that want this country, and he's fine, and he's okay, and he's doing what's right, they come against me, and I'm sure they come against you and say, well, you're wrong about that, and there is no New World Order, and there's none of this, and I just look at them and go, oh, really?
Yeah, obviously you haven't done your homework then if you don't think there's a New World Order when you've got so-called elected politicians out there calling for a New World Order, the famous Bush speech, and so on and so on. But it's just, it's amazing to me how, let's take a step back here for a second, and how you talked about family and kids. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that's why I'm so far into this knowledge that I have and understanding and the research and everything that I do, is because I want to see my daughter grow up in a society that's different than this society. And by different, I mean free, non-oppressive, doesn't have to worry about, rogue cops, militarized police out there, doesn't have to worry about false flags, doesn't have to worry about the economy, and it's people like us today that are the modern Paul Revere, so to speak. We are the ones out there letting you know what's coming. We are the ones out there who are letting you know what's already been done, and why we are where we are. And it's people like us that's going to really, truly change. If it's just one person, that one person is going to tell another, then that person is going to tell another, and before you know it, it's wildfire. People need to understand that I'm sure you feel the same way, Wayne, and as I do, that we're not doing this for publicity. Because if we did, we would be talking about sports, we'd be talking about something else to put a name out there. We're talking about real facts here, and we're talking about real life situations here. The FEMA camps, all of them, the Army re-education camps, it's all there, out in the open. The best place to hide something is in plain sight. All the documents are there. Just Google them. HR 390, 645. Type in FM 3-39.40. I mean, the stuff just rolls off the top of my head because I've been so far into it. It's just like second nature. And Wayne, I want to get your comment on this real quick. In my opinion, I can't trust any politicians. Now, Ron Paul is a different story, is a different cookie, because he was talking about this as far back as the 70s, you know, the stuff that we're going on and facing now today. But yet he still didn't come out and plainly say that there is a new world order, that yes, there are FEMA camps. Now, he's touched on it, but he hasn't flat out come out and said that. Why? Because he's still a politician. He still has to play that political game. Now, in today's era, we've got Ted Cruz, we've got Rand Paul, we've got all these guys that people are rallying behind, but they're still politicians, folks. They're still going to be in that White House, if any of them do, and they're all going to be controlled and paid for by the same elite, the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, the Henry Kissingers, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, all of them. It's all a big game, a distraction by a global design that's been going on for centuries to come to the point that we are at now. And in my opinion, Wayne, and get your comment on this in just a second, I can't trust any of them. I cannot trust a Rand Paul, a Ted Cruz, a Rubio, a McCain, a Clinton, none of them, because they're all scum, they're all filth, they're all trash. And as you said, local politicians is the way to go, because you can get somebody in your neighborhood, in your community, in your state, in your city that you know, and that will fight for the truth and fight for to break these reins of the NWO, so to speak. And you can't trust the guys at Washington. You know, you can't trust the guys on Capitol Hill. You can't trust any of them, because they're all corrupt by nature, by the Bilderbergs, by the Trilateral Commission, the Club of Rome, all of them. And your comment on that, Wayne?
I totally agree. I mean, you know, it starts local. I mean, you've heard that phrase many years ago, probably. You know, shop local, do this, you know. And you really have to be, you know, in your community, finding those politicians and, you know, finding those people. There should be another word other than politicians, but finding those people that are going to run for public office that are true to the Constitution, true to freedom, true to liberty, true to entrepreneurship, and be the ones, be the you know, for lack of a better phrase, be the bullet in the gun for freedom, because they're the ones, those local politicians are the ones that are going to step up and say, you know what, we've had enough of this oppression. This city is going to take out the GMOs, we're going to kick Monsanto out, we're going to get the fluoride out of the water, we're going to straighten this whole city out, and we're going to make it right for the people, because the people live here. It's for them, you know. And again, you said you don't trust any of them. I'm getting to that point. I've heard different things from Ted Cruz. I'm hearing different things from Rand Paul, and I see this back and forth with Rand Paul. Says one thing, but then does, you know, this over here, and he doesn't support this, but he votes on this. And it's a chess game. It's a massive freaking chess game. You got to make this move here, and hopefully their opponent will make a move over here, and you can put him in checkmate. I think that's what he's doing. I don't know. I'm not up in Washington, D.C. I don't know. But I can tell you right now, it's a huge game, and we, the people, are losing if we don't stand up and tell them the rules. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And for anybody out there who thinks that the U.S. of A. is still a free country, we haven't been free for a long, long time. Anybody who is listening to this broadcast and who listened to my latest broadcast when I talked about the Rothschild central banking system, you'll see that ever since 1913, when the Fed was put into place in this country, we stopped being a free country at that time, as I stated on that broadcast. Prior to that, prior to the Federal Reserve being instituted, we had roads, schools, doctors, jobs, all of it, and everybody kept 100% of their earnings. And in this day and age now, we are slaves to the centralized banking system. We are slaves to a falsified economy. Our dollar is not backed by anything at all. There's no gold to back it. China owns a majority of our debt, if not all of it. And it's just, it's a big game. And as you said, Wayne, it's a big chess game for these globalist freaks out there who think that they can control every single one of us. And they've done a great job at it so far. I'll give them that. You know, they have the masses blind and being sheeple right now. They've done a good job on that. But where they're failing is people like us who are spreading the information and the truth out there is the ones who are pushing back and opening up more people's eyes and minds. And talking about the economy now here, Wayne, follow the money, as you say. It's the Federal Reserve prints our money, and they loan it to us at interest. Now, they control the interest rates. They control, how much our dollar is actually worth, what you can go into the store and buy with that dollar, so to speak. But yet we have a major city like Detroit, $20 billion in debt, filing for bankruptcy. Does that make any sense to you whatsoever?
Not at all. Not at all. And the economics, if you look prior to that town becoming the automotive capital of the world, like you said, it had, that city and the rest of America had roads, had schools, everything was great, wonderful, fantastic. And then all of a sudden we get this, we start building automobiles here in the U.S., and then all of a sudden, things started translating into dollars and freedom and more. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes in, does a little switcheroo, and the unions get involved, and now the unions are saying, well, our dues are going up and this and that and that and this, and we promise you that no matter what, you will get your pension. And what happened after that? In the early 80s, there was what was his name? John DeLorean got popped for, doing something illegal, but then his car went down, and then Lee Iacocca, and then all this. And then it started translating into they can't pay the companies, aside from the unions, cannot pay these union workers as much as they wanted. And then the economy went down a little bit during the Reagan era. And then the Clinton era got a little back up, up and down, up and down. Now, what's happened? Most $20 billion to bail out an auto company who picked up their stuff and moved to China. Didn't put people back to work, picked up their stuff and moved to China. There's other companies that are getting out of here because of high tax dollars. They know it, or high taxes. They know what the problem is, and, they're forced to leave. And some, to their credit, are moving to different states in the United States where there's low taxes, none of that stuff, and they're doing better, But Detroit failed and has to go under due to the fact that people are greedy. I just heard something, I think the other day I was listening to, I can't remember what it was now, but a caller, I think it was Glenn Beck, caller called in and said, or it was Alex Jones or something, called in, and he's a black man living in Detroit, and he said over half of the citizens of Detroit are employed, the other half are unemployed, and over 83% of the population of Detroit is black, and most of the people, when the city started losing money, left the state, just left and got away from it because they saw the writing on the wall. They knew that Detroit was failing, so they left. A friend of mine lives outside of Detroit, and she said, it's not that bad. Really? Have you walked down the streets? Have you went and talked to these people? Well, our news, back to the local news that's lying to you. And I told her, I said, the news is lying to you. Here's what the real story is. And I told her, and she just can't believe it. Again, not wanting to. But Detroit needs to fold, needs to come back, needs to be stronger, but it needs people to stand up and say enough's enough.
Exactly, and I actually lived in a suburb of Detroit, Westland, Michigan, a little over 2 years ago, and I lived out there for about 6 months until I moved back to Vegas, which is another city that's on the brink of bankruptcy. But I was strolling around, Detroit, trying to take in the sights and scenery and all that, being that it was the first time I was ever in Detroit. And I'm telling you, it's just empty buildings everywhere. It's, run down, condemned old housing projects, just, on the brink of just total collapse, as far as the building structure goes. And it was just really sad to see, exactly just how far, and even at that time, just a little over 2 years ago, how far in debt and driven down the city of Detroit was. And I knew then it was only a matter of time before, the full financial collapse of that city takes place. And here we are now in 2013 looking at Detroit and saying, if that big city can fail, and at one time was a prominent city, as you stated, a big automobile manufacturing city and everything else, If that city can fail, then any other city can fail. And that's by design. That's what they want. They want to turn this place into a wasteland. This is no longer America, the land of the free. This is America, the land of the slaves. And it's just, it's sad, and we really have to take that back. You bring in, you institute open borders. You bring in all the immigrants here to drive down wages because, A, there's not enough work to go around for the ones that are already here. So you bring in the influx of immigrants, drive down the wages, so people are making less, they can't afford what they have, so they become dependent on the government, which is what they want. Give you the vaccinations. JP Morgan benefits from all that, as they're the ones, the money backers behind the whole food stamp system, if you will. It's by a design, folks, and you got to understand and realize that, to step out of your comfort zone for a second and look at these facts. And Wayne, I know you're from California, and California is plundering as well. I know they've got high taxes. I've got a friend out there, a good friend of mine, who works in construction out there, and he's telling me he makes decent money, but that's decent money on paper. What he brings home is a whole different story because of the high taxes.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Stockton, California, and moved over here to the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada, and I got to tell you, I mean, with everything that has gone on in California, and I've been back and forth between Nevada and California, and went to Montana for a little bit, and I can tell you, just looking at it from the outside, love my city, I got family and friends there, but Stockton is in the courts because they're filing bankruptcy, because they're broke. There's several cities in California that are filing bankruptcy because they're broke. And the governor, Jerry Brown, is not doing a damn thing to fix it, And high taxes, oh my God. I love San Francisco, can't live there because it's too expensive. Love L.A., can't live there, too expensive, don't want to live in the pits of hell anyway. Love Las Vegas, would you love to live there? Yeah, but, again, some places are just too expensive to live. And it comes down to really looking at, and a lot of my listeners, I get emails too, say, you're right on this, you're right on that, but, and I'm going, oh, geez, what are they going to slam me with here? But it comes down to basic personal responsibility. I remember years ago, looking throughout history, and people moved from areas of the country to go where the money is. Again, follow the money. I mean, if you're not making enough in one place, go someplace else, try to make it there. And you just got to move around until you find a place where you're going to make a decent living, to raise your family, to be who you are, and to, at some point, if you want to own your own business, have that opportunity to do so. And literally, if we want to, I mean, everybody that I listen to wants freedom and liberty. If we want it, we're going to have to, get a reality check, get a gut check, and say, this is what we want, and this is how we want it. And we have to demand that our politicians, from our mayors to city councils to county board of supervisors, our governors and lieutenant governors, need to understand that we, the people, demand change, and it's going to be our way. Now, I know people are going to say, that sounds like the Bolshevik Revolution. Well, something has to give, and it's certainly not going to be my wallet anymore, handing out all these worthless pieces of green paper to anybody.
Exactly, and if you look at it, California, Detroit, other cities across the country, states are going bankrupt, are in debt. There's not enough jobs to support the people that are already in this country, but yet the Federal Reserve, who prints our money, controls the inflation, controls, all of it. And you got a centralized system that prints money for a nation to use, but yet we are in debt. People are just, going bankrupt. There's not enough jobs to go around. It's just remarkable to see how one system, one foreign entity in this country, known as the Federal Reserve, can control a nation by printing the money. And it goes to show you worldwide as well. Any country that has a centralized bank system in it, and a lot of them do, you control the nation. You control the nation, you control the people, you control the population. And that's exactly what they're doing. That's what they have done. And so far, they've done a pretty good job of doing that. But it's time that we take back our basic civil liberties of not only citizens of the U.S., but citizens of the world. Worldwide, we need to stand up. If we can march against Monsanto and have 2 million plus people worldwide join forces against the evil company known as Monsanto, then we can do the same thing against the centralized banking system. We can do the same thing against fluoride in our waters, the chemtrails in the air. It's as you stated a little while ago, Wayne, and that's what I've been stating this whole time that I've been on air here, is strength in numbers. We have the strength in numbers. We have to come united, stop being separated by, stupid trials that we're seeing on TV with Martin and Zimmerman. Forget all of that. That's what they want, is to drive that wedge in between all of us and bring us all at odds with each other. But instead, we all need to come together and fight the purpose of the New World Order in order to take back our basic civil liberties. And, touching on that here for a second, Wayne, we got about 10 minutes or so before we wrap things up. Really quickly here, what's your take on the whole Zimmerman race baiting? We'll touch on that one last time.
Yeah, it's... I say it all the time. Zimmerman's acquitted. Let's move on. He just, he's helped somebody in a car crash, and tried to all that. But it is a division. It is a divide and conquer. So if people pay attention to that with the race baiting hustlers of Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, if they want to believe that, they're nothing but MSNBC, bobbleheads that are just, dumber than a box of, rocks. And it's just, it's enough that people should just, I'm tired of all the race baiting. People should just, come together. I've got friends from every race, creed, religion that you can think of. And we can sit down and discuss things and look at things and examine things and agree and disagree, but we walk away friends, and we walk away going, yes, good points, great, okay, have a nice day. We don't get angry with one another, and that's what people need to do. And again, this whole thing with Zimmerman and Martin, this whole trial, I get people that email me. I just had somebody put something on my Facebook page that said that they disagree with the Zimmerman verdict, and I'm like, why? He was defending himself. He had to do something. Other people that would say in response to that would be, well, why did he shoot him? Why not? He's getting his head pounded into the ground. Wouldn't you? You'd push him off or something, and it's just, there's so many different views, so many different perspectives that I don't think people are really focusing on what caused it. And what is continually being pushed into their face, which is race baiting, division, divide and conquer policies. And this whole issue about race is just totally stupid.
It is stupid, and then you got Obama coming out there and saying that if I had a son, it would look like Trayvon Martin. I mean, right from the get-go, when this occurred, we already had the division in this country. Right at that time, when Obama didn't even need to say anything about that whatsoever. Let it be what it is. Focus on what you're doing, and that's, trying to play politics here, trying to bankrupt the country. You're doing a great job at that. Don't divide the country down the middle when you have to come out and make a statement about Trayvon Martin when you had no business of doing in the first place.
Exactly.
It's just it's amazing to me, But once again, though, once you get further into the rabbit hole, so to speak, nothing really amazes you anymore. It's just a matter of connecting the dots and coming together with everything. So I don't know, but ladies and gentlemen, if you would help spread the word about Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker, share the broadcast, share the Facebook page. Also, quick note on the Facebook page, Facebook is changing everything once again, and I've been wanting to mention this, but when you like the page, on the right-hand side, there's going to be a little drop-down arrow. Click that and click that Add to Interest list, so that way you can see all the posts that I make up on the page, and also on Wayne S. Pierce's page. And Wayne, if you wouldn't mind, too, as well, give out all of your info so people know how to get a hold of you and check out your broadcast.
Well, you can go to Facebook, and that's at Free America Radio on Facebook, and you can get information there as well. And also the website is freeamericaradio.weebly.com. That's freeamericaradio.weebly.com. And, of course, my show is on that site as well, as along with the podcast. But if you're over on the Spreaker side of things, go to Spreaker.com and look up the Views Expressed. It should be up there on the list. And check out the show Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you want to email me, you can email me at freeamericaradio@usa.com.
Perfect. And also, folks, help support alternative media. Help support people like Wayne and myself getting this information out there and keeping the our broadcasts on the air for you to share this information. And if you wouldn't mind, making a donation, whatever you can possibly do on distortedreality.podbean.com, help fund and support alternative media news outlets such as this, where, Wayne and I are not doing this just to do it. We feel strongly on what we're doing, and it's up to folks like us that are being the modern day Paul Revere, so to speak, to go out there and spread the information and truth. So help support and keep us going here by getting better equipment. I would love to go out to locations and like the Bilderbergs and Bohemian Grove and all that, and eventually somewhere down the road maybe end up getting a studio, and who knows, Wayne, maybe you and I can do a broadcast from a studio someday. It's help from the people out there to help fund this alternative news media outlets, this real small grassroots operation that you and I do. And Wayne, it was a pleasure having you on the show, and I mean it when I say it. I really dig your show. I listen to your show every night, and I would love to have you back on this broadcast sometime very soon, and also love to be back on your show sometime in the near future.
You bet, anytime. Just email me.
All right, perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is Wayne S. Pierce from the Views Express Live. And great guest. He runs a great show, and I suggest anybody out there who's listening to take a listen to his show. He speaks from the heart, knows what he's talking about. He's been around, he's seen it all, and it's up to people like us, folks, to spread the information, to get the information out there. And the best way to do that is to help support and fund these small grassroots operations that we do, and help support and share the broadcasting page to friends and family. It's the only way we're going to get through this fight against the New World Order. So, for this Monday edition of Distorted Reality, I am Nick Tucker, signing off, and until next time, folks, take care.